వాయిస్ వస్తుంది నా వాయిస్ వస్తుందా? హలో ప్రవీణ్ సార్.
Yes sir, carry on. Naresh sir.
Hello.
Yeah, okay. Naresh, okay.
Praveen sir.
Am I audible? Naresh?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Praveen, just 2 minutes.
Okay. No problem, Naresh.
Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Praveen Kumar. Hello.
Yeah, you are audible to me.
Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, Dr. Praveen Kumar. Thank you for accepting for invitation for webinar class. Okay.
Yeah. Shall I start, Naresh?
Sir, just 1 minute. I will introduce. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. K. Praveen Kumar is completed in PhD degree in NIT Warangal in 2019. So he has published a lot of journals and SCI and Scopus journals. So he is currently working as an assistant professor in SPNIT Surat. Okay, so sir, please start your topics. So welcome sir, welcome to GNIT.
Okay.
Okay sir, you can start sir.
Praveen sir, you can share your PPT also, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing. Okay. Is my screen visible to you? Hello.
One moment, sir.
Yeah, okay. It came now.
Yes, now it's ready. Visible, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, may I know
Yes sir, you can go ahead. Just press.
Yeah, I think these participants are all BTech, right? BTech final year. Yes,
It's
okay.
final year.
17, yes, 17, 220, 250, 251. Okay. So all are final years. Okay.
Final year students, sir. These are all are final year students only.
Okay.
You can carry on.
Okay, Praveen sir, start.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, actually your
students.
voice is not properly audible, sir. It's breaking. You make it, sir.
One minute. What I will do is I'll turn off in one PC and yeah. Am I audible now?
Voice is disturbance.
Lot of disturbance is there.
Wait. Is it okay now? Am I clear now?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Fine, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I think you are all final year. So may I know, have you completed polytechnics and drive subject? I want interaction from audience.
All the students has to respond, ma. Students, Naveen, Shivaram, everyone has to respond. So don't be idle. Ushasri, Monica.
Yeah. Okay. Any student can respond. Have you completed drive subject?
Shirisha, Shivaprasad, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you have completed drive subject. So that's why I'm asking you one basic fundamental question. What is meant by electrical drive? Can anyone? Can anyone tell me about what is meant by electrical drive? If you are not interaction, then it is no of use. It will be a single-sided presentation. Yeah. Okay. So why a drive is used means a drive is simply a system employed for motion control. So if the system has an electrical motor, then it is called as electrical drive simply. So mostly the motion control is generally performed by the number of devices like prime movers, diesel engines, etc. So if it employs electrical motor, then it is called as electrical drive. So here for an electrical drive, in order to work with an induction motor or PMSM motor or a special machine, whatever it is, or even an electrical vehicle or grid synchronization, in any one you could not use direct control. So for example, if you take a DC machine, in case of DC machine, if you want to control the armature voltage or field voltage, what you are doing in your machine's lab. So if you want to control the speed of a DC motor, what you are performing? Yeah, in order to control speed of DC motor, you are going to vary armature voltage or field current by using respective rheostats connected in series with them. Okay, so if you vary armature winding resistance, you can vary the speed of the DC motor from zero speed to the base speed, as well as in case of field control also. So if you weaken the field, so it will operate more than the rated speed. So in that way, you will control the DC motor by using a rheostatic control method. For an induction motor or PMSM motor, a simple rheostatic control is not available, or you cannot use those things. So complex control strategies are required, and the electrical system, or in order to operate the induction motor, you can operate with a fixed supply. So if you operate with a fixed supply, then what is the difficulty? And you might studied all these things. So if you give a three-phase supply to an induction motor, then what will happen in stator? What will happen in the stator winding? If you give a three-phase alternating voltage to the stator of an induction machine, there will be a production of rotating magnetic field, right? Rotating magnetic field will be produced. So if there is a rotating magnetic field, what will happen? The rotating magnetic field will link the rotor, and there will be a principle of induction, and the rotor starts rotating. So you know all those things. So if you have a fixed supply, the frequency of your stator produced rotating magnetic field is fixed. So as it is fixed in nature, the motor will always rotate at a constant speed, so you cannot get variable speed. So if you want to employ the induction motor or any special machine for a variable speed application, your stator voltage should be supplied through a power converter, called so-called AC voltage controllers, cycloconverters, inverters, etc. So if you use AC voltage controller or matrix converter or cycloconverter or inverter, again you have to go with the control strategy what you are going to use. So if you have a AC voltage controller, the AC voltage controller is generally made up of which devices? Anybody from audience? Usually What are the devices used to construct AC voltage controller or cycloconverter? Yeah, you are in final year here. If you come out of the college, means you have to grab your job. So in order to get the job, you should have some basic skills. Okay, so AC voltage controllers are made up of tracks or anti-parallel connection of the thyristors. And similarly, cycloconverters also have the same devices. Whereas in case of inverters, we use generally IGBTs. In the olden days, GTOs are also used. So IGBT is an insulated gate bipolar transistor. It is a combination of BJT and MOSFET. So you might know power BJT and power MOSFET. When you are dealing with the power electronics subject, you might study those two concepts. Okay. So IGBT is basically a Darlington pair of BJT and MOSFET. Okay, so there are various number of converters. So for example, if you have an inverter, for an inverter, you will provide a DC voltage. The DC voltage may be given through a renewable energy source like PV cells. A series of PV cells are connected, and output of PV cells is connected to a boost converter or some DC-DC converter, and the output of the DC-DC converter is given as input to the inverter. Okay, so the inverter output is feeding to the motor drive. So before going to much things, so I will start the basic introduction. So the contents of presentation or introduction, and then power converter applications. After that, classification of the power converters and converter control methods. What are the various types of control methods are there? And then what are the challenges in control? And then I will give you classical control methods. And then one innovation in control strategies is model predictive control, how you can apply model predictive control. Yeah, most probably in this 1 hour, I'll try to complete only the first 4 parts, because the last 4 parts are meant for the research purpose. So mostly I will try to complete linear control only, sine triangle pulse width modulation. So why you need to study this power converters and drives? Because day by day the population is increasing. As the population increasing, the lifestyle is going to change. As our lifestyles are changing, obviously we are dependent on the electronic devices. So electrical devices or electronic devices are going to be used in handy. So if you want to use the electrical or electronic devices in handy, the energy demand is going to be increased. So the increased energy demand and also the electronic devices, whatever you are using, rectifiers, diodes, even your battery charger, mobile charger, whatever. So all these will create some noise or disturbances in the supply. So if there exists supply, there exists poor power quality. So obviously at the user end or at the distributor or generator side end, there should be some improvements, or in order to improve the efficiency, definitely we have to use a semiconductor devices like power converters or active rectifiers or filters, whatever. So we have to use various number of semiconductor devices. So there are a number of topologies are came up and the control strategies are developed to reach the increased energy demands. So actually the development of these high power converters and medium voltage drives usually started in the middle of 1980s. And the first GTO was the standard for the medium voltage drive till the advent of the IGBTs. So before IGBT, GTO was the hero. So after IGBT, so GTO was not used in the medium voltage drives also. And then the power converters gained very much importance due to their high performance efficiency, due to their superior switching characteristics, reduced power losses, and ease of gate control. Gate control means, yeah. Can anybody name the terminals of thyristor? Can anybody name thyristor terminals? You don't want to speak. That is what I understood.
Anode cathode gate.
Anode cathode gate. Yeah. Why you are using gate, Monica?
To give siren pulsation.
Yeah. Yeah. Rajesh, can you tell me about what are the terminals of a MOSFET?
Of a MOSFET, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, I
Yeah.
don't know, sir, about MOSFET.
Okay, okay, no problem, no problem. Yes, yes. So this is one important gate question. So you just go to the textbook, Rajesh. So I don't tell
Okay, sir.
much regarding the MOSFET. Okay,
Okay,
so
sir.
there are number of devices are there. The basic devices like power diode, power transistor, power thyristor, power MOSFET, and then GTO, IGBT. You have to learn all these output characteristics. For a BJT, you have to draw output characteristics and input characteristics. Similarly, MOSFET, you have to draw transfer characteristics and output characteristics. So you should learn all these things when you are appearing for GATE or IES exam. So you should learn them. Yeah, in the most of industrial sectors. So after BTech, you anyhow you have to search for a job. So anyhow you will go to industry or somewhere, or you will go for higher studies. When in higher studies, you should have some good knowledge on the power electronic devices. So these are mostly used in case of industrial sectors with wide variety of systems, and the power converters are used most in the case of renewable energy conversion systems, and then it is used in the wind power generation power converters along with the drives used in case of wind power generation, and it is used in case of power quality improvement and maintaining the stability of the grid, and also it is used in power system applications. Now you can see the basic power converter applications. So the power converters are used in our regular day-to-day appliances also. So I can start from the industrial side. So in the industrial side, major requirement like pumps, fans, conveyors, shovels has this power converters. So you can see here, here is a AC supply. AC supply, the AC supply is given to, this one is a rectifier. The output of rectifier is given to a inverter input. This is a DC. So in order to store the voltage, here the two capacitors are placed. So the output of this capacitors is, you can call VDC, and this VDC is given as input to the inverter. This is an inverter. The inverter is driving the motor. Inverter is driving the motor, and the rotor is coupled with another motor. Okay, so if you can say this is a motor 1 and motor 2. If motor 1 is acting as a motor, if machine 1, if this is acting as a motor, then this second one will act as a generator. Okay, so the supply will go in this way, and machine 1 is coupled with machine 2. Machine 2 will deliver the power in this way. You might study the static Cramer drive and Scherbius drive. So it is an example like I can say Scherbius drive. But here the active front end rectifiers are used. And the second one is transportation application. So regularly you are using the term electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles, and in transportation, trains. Mostly till today also many trains are running with the DC series motors or DC compound motors, and ships, aircraft applications, and propulsion motors. So many transportation applications are there with these power converters and drives applications. Okay. And yeah, one basic question I want to ask you guys. Here I have the induction motor. Suppose this is my induction motor, and it is a three-phase supply. So this is my induction motor. This is a three-phase supply. And usually, if I have a transformer at the street end of the transformer, there exists a three-phase supply. So this is my street end transformer. Here there are three phases are available. Can't I connect directly the three phases here, and shall I run the motor? Is it possible or not? Just I will use the switches. Okay. So shall I connect directly like this? Shall I run the motor directly connecting three-phase supply like this or not? Giridhar?
No, sir.
No. What will happen here?
If any fault occurs on the transformer, then induction
That will
motor.
take care of the MCB. Nothing will happen here. If you connect a three-phase supply directly, nothing will happen. Except that, what will happen? At the starting, the induction motor will draw a large current or magnetizing induced current. At the starting, it will draw a very large current. Except that nothing will happen. If your MCB is strong enough and it will allow for a fraction of seconds, then nothing will happen. The induction motor will run continuously. But the only thing is, will run with a fixed speed rather than variable speeds. Like, for example, if you have a frequency of 50 Hz and number of poles equal to 4, and suppose the slip is, I'm just directly giving slip is 30 RPM, then what will be the rotor speed? Can anybody? For an induction motor, I have given three-phase supply with a frequency of 50 Hz and number of poles equal to 4. Assume that the slip is 30 RPM. Then what is the rotor speed of induction motor? Very basic question here. Gangadhar?
1500 RPM.
Yeah, 15 RPM is what? 15 RPM is synchronous speed here. So that is why I have given you here slip of 30 RPM and I asked you to find out rotor speed. Okay, so slip equal to what? Ns minus Nr. Nr equal to what? Ns minus slip speed. Slip speed I already given 30 RPM. So here I have frequency 50 Hz and poles 4. So Ns is equal to what? 120 F by P. So we will get 1500 RPM. So 1500 RPM minus 30 RPM. So we'll get it as 1470 RPM. Okay, so the motor will operate always with the fixed speed of 1470 RPM. Now what I will do is, I will vary this frequency. Somehow I will vary this frequency. Let me suppose this frequency is 1 minute. F is equal to 50 Hz. Then the motor has a synchronous speed of 1500 RPM. Let me take F is equal to 25 Hz and number of poles I assumed as constant. Poles I don't change. So P equal to 4. F is equal to 25 Hz. Then what will be the synchronous speed? Sunil? Sunilkar?
Sir,
Yeah. What will be the synchronous speed now? Somehow I gave a frequency of 25 Hz. Then how much, at what speed the motor have the RMF, rotating magnetic field? It is very simple here. What is the formula? Standard formula I have already written 120 F by P.
750.
Now, yeah, so it is 750 RPM. Okay. For example, if you have electrical car, okay. For the electrical car, let me suppose I have a 50 Hz motor only, 4-pole 50 Hz motor. Okay. So if I turn on my key and I suppose that there is no power converter. If there is no power converter, when you turn on the key, immediately it will pick up 1500 RPM speed. Due to moment of inertia, there may be a slight increase in speed for a fraction of 2 seconds. After that, your car won't stop to 0. Okay, so your car directly will go to 15 RPM directly. If you turn on your key, instantly it will go to 15 RPM if you do not have a power converter. If you have a power converter, then you can suppose that you can vary the frequency from 0 Hz to 25 hertz or 50 hertz, whatever the range, 60 hertz, whatever. So the motor basically is to operate at 1500 RPM. So if you operate for the frequency more than base frequency, that is called flux weakening mode. So in the flux weakening mode also you can operate. So mostly you can operate till 2500 RPM. 2500 RPM. So by using a corresponding power converter, you can increase the step changes in speed, and you can go to respective speeds. So that is in case of transportation applications also. The power converters will play a key role. And then third one is renewable energy. So this is the most important thing at present in your domestic appliances also. It is most valid, and I'm saying in case of Surat, there is many subsidies, and also even a small home, the rooftop is constructed completely with PV panels. The rooftop is covered with PV panels so that they will get subsidy. They will generate the power for their home appliance, as well as they will supply power in the day hours. So during the day hours, the power generated by the PV cells is large, that may not be consumed by the home itself. So that will be given to the substation or the electric station near to that. And remaining period, they will consume the power in the off light day, or after 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. they will start consuming. So in that way it is there. So there are some subsidies also available. So soon in our Telangana or Andhra also it will start. So this is a more important thing. And you can, if you have any interest of business, you can start off thinking in this area. You can start constructing these PV panels to each and every domestic appliance, and you can gain huge amount of money also. So this is what a PV panel is directly connected to the DC-DC converter. You might know DC-DC converters, choppers, you know. So that is a DC-DC converter here. The output of DC-DC converter is given to a capacitor. The capacitor will maintain the constant voltage, and the output of this DC-DC converter is given to the inverter. Okay, so again inverter is giving to grid. If it is domestic appliance, so as well as grid, there will be another connection, your home appliances. What are the appliances you are using? Home appliances. In power systems, yeah, non-linear loads means whatever the devices you are using, mobile phones, mobile chargers, or batteries, all these are comes under non-linear loads. So the element or the load which does not satisfy the principle of superposition and homogeneity called linear element. So the remaining, except the RLC, you can say diodes, transistors, thyristors, these all are non-linear elements. Op amps. So if you have loads of such nature, obviously there exist harmonics in the system. So those harmonics should be filtered out by active filters or STATCOMs or some other devices. So SMES, storage systems, distributed generation, many things are there. And in residential applications like your air conditioners, refrigerators, home appliances, many systems will employ the power converters as well as the drive applications. So now let me tell you the power converter classifications. You already know. I will add something small delta X to whatever the knowledge you have. For example, if you have AC voltage, a fixed AC voltage, AC of V1 F1. V1 F1 means fixed voltage, fixed frequency. And if you want to get variable voltage and variable frequency, okay. So if you are converting a fixed AC voltage into variable AC voltage, what are the available devices in your hand? Or what are the available converters in your hand? So you know you can convert fixed AC to variable AC with the help of AC voltage controllers or cycloconverters. Other than the AC voltage controller and cycloconverter, another device is called matrix converter. So this is what a name given. Direct AC to AC converter is a matrix converter. And then the second one, AC to DC. So if you want to convert AC to DC, you will have a device called rectifier. In the rectifiers also, there exist many devices called power factor correction rectifiers, active front end rectifiers, thyristor rectifier, controlled rectifier, uncontrolled rectifier, many are there. And then a DC to DC converters, much type A, type B, type C, type D, type E, or a quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4 chokers. And DC to AC, so DC to AC converter, or you can call it as inverter. Okay, inverters. So these are some power converter classifications. So I'm just writing them. The first classification, AC to DC, called as rectifiers, and then DC voltage to DC voltage, called as choppers. The third one, DC voltage to AC voltage, called as inverters, and the last one, you can say AC to AC converters, called AC voltage controllers or cyclo converters. Yeah, all these devices may use diodes, thyristors, or IGBTs. So you have to give control of the gate signals. So you have to generate your gating pulses. So in order to generate the gating pulse, there are many methods are there. So these are the power converter classifications of all the natures: AC to DC, DC to DC, AC to AC, DC to AC. So in your textbooks, you might see only some portions, and remaining portions you can see here how many are there. So if you have AC to DC converters, they are classified into two categories: line commutated and power factor correction. In the line commutated rectifiers, there are two classifications. You can say diode rectifiers and thyristor rectifiers. So diode rectifiers are called as uncontrolled rectifiers, and thyristor rectifiers are called as controlled rectifiers. And then the devices used for power factor corrections are called active front-end rectifiers. These are non-regenerative type and regenerative type. So these are the classifications of AC to DC converters. And the second classification is DC to DC converter. You all know buck boost, and resonant converters. So in the resonant converters, there exist many methods are there: zero voltage switching, zero current switching. So we will study in the MTech level. If you have interest, you can go through literature or you can go through the journals. And then AC to AC converters, I already told you, the cyclo converters and the matrix converters. Last one is DC to AC converters, are called inverters. The inverters are of current source inverters and voltage source inverters. And in voltage source inverters, there exist many classifications again: two-level inverters, multi-level inverters, many are there. So now let's see the converter controlling past. You might study your analog electronics subject. So in the analog electronics subjects, the basic heart of the analog electronics devices are the op-amp. So op-amp has many applications. Op-amp can be used as many applications. Op-amp can be used as multi-vibrator, Schmitt trigger, or integrator, or differentiator. Many applications you have op-amp. So go through your op-amp, and op-amp is a very basic device which is used in case of control of any power converter. So in the olden days, the op-amp played a very important role, and op-amp is used as a comparator to generate the pulse. And in case of SCR rectifier means thyristor rectifier, I'm supposing. So if you have a thyristor rectifier, so here I considered only a half wave rectifier. So if you have a half wave rectifier like this, okay, so during the positive half cycle, for example, let me tell you from the diode. So if you give a AC supply like this, then during the positive half cycle, what will happen? So I will consider it as my load. I want to measure the voltage across the load. During positive half cycle, what will happen?
Diode gets forward biased.
Diode gets forward biased, so voltage will appear at what?
Load.
Voltage will appear at load. In negative half cycle, voltage
Zero,
will appear at
voltage zero.
voltage will appear at very simple question here. In negative half cycle, voltage will appear across the diode. Across the load it is 0. Now let me consider it is a thyristor. If it is a thyristor, then what you can do? in case of a thyristor, even if you apply a forward bias voltage, or the thyristor is operating in forward blocking mode. In the forward blocking mode, the thyristor does not allow any voltage through it. Okay, so when the thyristor is in forward conduction mode, then only it will allow current through it. So in order to bring the thyristor from forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode, definitely you have to apply a gating pulse. So you have to apply a gating pulse means there should be some control logic you have to do. So that control logic generally done by the zero crossing detection done by the op amps. The op amp will be placed simply, the op amp for the op amp reference is connected as ground, and the other terminal is connected to the sinusoidal supply which is giving from the your phase, or this one simply. Okay, so this is a very simple circuit. Even I did it in BTech also. So it is not much typical or much difficult thing. So you can just go through a simple op amp as a square wave generator and you can get it very easily. And if you connect output of op amp to a potential divider, you can get a variable pulse. So you can easily generate the firing angle of the thyristor by using a op amp as a zero crossing detector. So here I triggered the thyristor at alpha. Okay, so you can trigger if you want to trigger here or here, whatever, wherever you want, you can trigger. So here I consider it as a RL load. So that is why you are getting a negative peak here. For example, if you have RLE load, then what will be the shape of your output voltage? What change you can observe in the output voltage waveform? So if you have RLE load, the conduction starts after this value only. Till this value, your output or load voltage will be more than your input voltage. So obviously the thyristor will be in the reverse bias mode. So this duration can be changed by, this duration means alpha, the firing angle can be changed by using your proper control strategy. So here in the olden days, the converter control is done by the op amp. So with the help of op amp, you can deliver a signal which can vary alpha continuously. And in your MATLAB, there is a simple pulse generator. So you can open your MATLAB and you can check with the help of pulse generator by giving a certain delay. For example, if you have a supply of 2 pi radians, okay, so you can give a firing angle by considering the pulse generator delay of pi by 3 or pi by 4, whatever way you want. So you can connect the thyristors in that way and you can check your output voltage, whatever you are seeing in your Bimbra textbook. And next one is hysteresis control. This is one good strategy in the analog platform. So till today, many industries are relying on the same strategy, hysteresis control of the power converters. And then the hysteresis control, one example is a beautiful advantage is GTC. So many industrial applications still use the direct torque control based upon the hysteresis control only. Second application of the analog devices, analog control circuit is a buck converter, a simple buck converter. So, what is the principle of buck converter? Anyone? Chandramouli, do you want to say something? Yeah, okay. So here, when switch is on, what will happen? The voltage will present across the output terminals. When switch is off, what will happen?
Inductor starts discharge.
Yeah, inductor starts discharging. Okay, good. So in case of buck converter, V naught equal to, you will write D into V in, where D is called as a duty cycle. Okay. So that duty cycle has varied by using two methods. One is called time ratio control and the current limit control. You might study these two control strategies of choppers. So one is called time ratio control and the other one is called current limit control. There are two methods are available. So based upon the current through the inductor, there exists current limit control and the time ratio control. Time ratio control, if you say D is called T on by T. So in this case, what you will do is you will have a here you can see. Here you can have a op amp. Op amp is used as a comparator. For this op amp, one input is given as a DC signal, V reference. This is your V reference or called DC signal. And the other input is a triangular. This is a triangular. So you will give a triangular. Okay. So whenever, for example, if you see here, so you are giving a DC signal and a triangular signal. Whenever the reference signal is more than the triangular, then you will get the on pulse. So your reference is always higher in this portion. Your reference is always higher in this portion. So you are getting on pulse. In the remaining duration, when the triangular is high, you are getting the off pulse. So you have a op amp. For the op amp, you have given two inputs. And yeah, I'm just giving you a simple example. You have a function generator. In the function generator, you can generate these two. Okay. So you can generate these two. V reference you can generate and triangular you can generate through your function generator. The output of function generator is given to your simple op amp as a comparator. Like you can say, inverting configuration and non-inverting configuration. So you can use a inverting configuration, two op amps in back to back, because if you use one inverting configuration, it will give you a negative sign. So that's why you can use a two op amps in a cascade connection so that you can invert that negative sign. So further you can give DC signal as input and triangular as output. So whenever your modulating wave is more than the carrier wave, the output will be high. So you will get the on pulse. In the remaining duration, there will be off pulse. So this is a simple strategy. For example, if you decrease DC voltage in this way, what will happen to this duration? Anyone?
Increases, sir.
Increases.
The duration will increase. Okay. So if you increase this DC voltage, what about your duty cycle? Duty cycle will decrease. So I have a simple resistor like this, or I can say a variable rheostat or variable, I will say potential divider. I'll say potential divider. Okay. So before the op amp, what I will do is I'll connect a triangular signal and the other input is a DC 5 volt. My peak of this triangle is 5 volt. Okay. Peak of this triangle is 5 volt. Suppose if the variable point of this potential divider is connected here, at maximum I connected, then what is the input voltage here? Input voltage here what? And yeah, potential divider is nothing but a simple like this only. Okay. So you will connect variable points like this. Okay. So it is just a series connection of resistors only. So don't think much. Why I'm saying is, if you have a variable resistor like this, the output voltage is a variable. So if output voltage is varied from 0 to 5 volt, and if your triangle is having a 5 volt magnitude, so you can get a duty ratio in between 0 to 1. That is what my point to say. So for that purpose, I have explained in that way. So duty equal to 0 to 1. So this is a simple circuit which you can develop by your own. And in addition to those simple methods, as today there are many controllers are available. You might know microcontrollers, digital controllers like FPGA, DSP. Many digital controllers are available in the market. So due to this huge number of market controllers, there are many innovations are came into the converter control methods. So those innovations are shown here. Hysteresis control method, linear control method, sliding mode control method, predictive control method, artificial intelligence method. So right now there is a trending on these two control methods more. The predictive control and artificial intelligence control methods are going very much trendy now. So you can use any one of them. The advantage of this hysteresis control I already told. Direct torque control in case of motor drives, direct power control in case of active front-end rectifiers. That is, what are the devices you are used in PV panels, renewable energy generation. There, this active front-end rectifiers are used. So for them, DPC is a more powerful strategy which is obtained from the hysteresis control only. And in case of linear control, you know, PI-based control, field-oriented control, voltage-oriented control. These three are the standard strategies, or you can call it as a classical control methods of converters or the motors. And third one is sliding mode control. This is also a very good strategy. In this also there are two methods: current control method and voltage control method. In predictive control, there are many methods are there: deadbeat control method, model predictive control, generalized predictive control, and the last one is artificial intelligence, fuzzy control, neural networks, neurofuzzy methods, adaptive neurofuzzy systems, and many adaptive neurofuzzy inference systems. So these are the major innovations in the converter control methods. So if I take one control strategy, it will take me 2-3 hours mostly. So I'm just giving you a brief insight where you can focus your research in the final year, or where you can do your major project of your BTech final year. So based on this slide, you can pick up your topic and you can choose your research for if you are interested to do work on Poldronics and drives. And how you will select one method from these many things. So in order to select these things, in order to select these n number of methods, there exists some selection criteria. For example, you might study when you are dealing with a thermal power plant, you might study the selection of place of thermal power plant, right? So you will have some criteria like this: the control requirements and challenges. This is a very important topic. Most of the BTech students don't know about this. The first one is the dynamic performance and stability of the system. Whether your converter is able to give the required dynamic performance of the motor or not, and it will maintain the grid stability or not. So this is the first major criteria. Your converter is suitable to use. For example, if you have a DC motor, for the DC motor, inverter should not be employed, because if you have an inverter will provide a 3-phase AC supply. Okay, so for a DC motor, you should provide a rectifier only. The output of rectifier is connected to a DC motor. So in that way, you can use a DC motor with the help of a rectifier. So, and the other thing is the rectifier is able to provide your dynamic characteristics. So the dynamic performance and stability of the system should be handled by your controller. The second important thing is the industrial requirements. So in the industrial requirements means in industry, based on changes of days or requirement, the production may change, or the protection equipment may damage at some other locations, and it may adopted by your controller. What are the disturbances created by the fault in the other location, and the extension of the range, and the limitation of the currents. Everything should be done by your controller. That is the industrial requirement. And the small error in control variables, the controller always should provide very small error. For example, you might study your controllers: P controller, I controller, D controller, or PI controller, PD controller, PID controllers. Many you studied in your BTech second year. So those will very helpful in case of designing your controller. Many methods are there to tune PI controller parameters, but your controller output should be having a small error in the controlled variable. And third one is reduced switching losses. So if you take inverter or a DC converter or whatever the device, it will consist of the Powertronic devices. So those Powertronic devices should produce very less switching losses. reduced THD. So total harmonic distortion is a major thing in case of industries. So your polytonic converter should produce reduced THD only. And electromagnetic interference and electromagnetic communications. So in case of electromagnetic interference means your system will operate at some frequency. Okay, if there exists some RLC elements, there may be a cause of resonant frequency or ringing frequencies may cause. So due to those, the electromagnetic interference will happen. So it should not be it should not be provided by your controller. The controller should be able to remove the electromagnetic interference created by your power converter, and then reduce to common voltage, or it is called as third harmonic voltage or zero sequence voltage. Yeah, do you know, in case of line to line fault and line to ground fault, I'm going completely away from your topic now. LG fault and LL fault. In case of LG fault and LL fault, you are going to write the positive sequence component of voltage currents and zero sequence component of voltage current and negative sequence components. So when you are writing for LL fault and LG fault, what you will observe the difference? The zero sequence component will exist in case of LG fault or LL fault. The zero sequence current component will present in case of LL fault or LG fault. Okay, when there exists ground connection, then only the zero sequence component will exist. Zero sequence component of current will flow through the ground or neutral connection. So in case of LG fault, only zero sequence component of current will exist. In case of LL fault, it does not exist. So, but in case of the grid applications or the motor applications, what will happen is you will have an inverter. This is my motor, or let me take a simple RL load here. There exists voltage between this point and this point. That voltage is called zero sequence voltage or common voltage. So your controller should be able to have a very less CMV or reduced CMV. And the last requirement is it should obtain good performance and it should suitable to the converter topology. So the topology you have chosen, your controller should meet the converter topology. And in order to obtain all these characteristics, there are a number of digital control platforms are available. So in most of the industries, the digital control platforms are FPGA or DSP. Whereas for research purpose or academicians, we use digital processor like DSpace 1104, 1103 or MicroLabbox or OpenRT. Many are there. So I have given you only one name here. So in case of research purpose or academic purpose, bulky program we'll use. So that is why we'll use floating point processor. So after verifying in DSpace, we'll re-verify the same code with the help of DSP or FPGA in case of fixed point processor. Or if you want to use a microcontroller, the microcontroller also a good competitor. So if you have strong knowledge in your microcontroller, you can also adopt to the microcontrollers. And these are some devices I am placing here. The first one is a DSP TMS320F2812. It is available around at 12 or 13,000. Second one is also around 20,000 to 30,000. Third one is 6 lakh and fourth one is 40,000. So this is very user friendly and most of the students will use this DSP TMS320F2812 in case of many IITs and NITs. So this device is very helpful. to develop your any converter control method. So with this, I'm concluding here. So I explained you the major challenges or control requirements and what are the controllers available and what are the control methods are available right now and how you can implement and what are the existing microcontrollers. 4 types of controllers are there. Here I'm placing those 4 types of controllers. If you have any queries, you can ask me. If you have any queries, you can ask me.
Okay, students, anybody queries, please ask. I think no one has any doubts. Okay, thank you, Dr. Praveen Kumar sir, giving nice lectures.
Yeah, okay, sir. Shall I leave the meeting?
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for giving nice lecture. Okay,
Yeah, okay, sir.
okay.
There might be students are BTech students, so it might be advanced.
All are BTech third year, final year students, sir.
Even though I tried to explain them basics only, so if I move to the next slide, they can't understand.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.